wonderful spam. Spam. Oh! Hi there. As you can see, I'm just getting everything all set up for today's episode, and let me tell you, I had a lot of Doctor Who's in my closet, but there's only so much space you can fit. Oh, well. Either way, we are taking on another Patreon request, and this one comes from Amy Knight. With her ongoing patronage, she was able to get a flick of her choice covered right here on the program. I would not like to personally thank her, but also for the pick she provided. This is one I've been meaning to cover on the show for a very long time. Last year. But a couple things got in the way. There's only so much devotion you can do. So I'm actually kind of glad I was able to cover it this year than never. So thank you. Thank you so much. That, and I need a break from the weird that was Dr. Otto. With that said, if you have a flick of your choice you want to see covered right here on Vaulting, go over to my Patreon page, make a donation, I'll see if I can squeeze it in the program somewhere. Well, as you can tell by the decor I have right behind me, you have already a good guess at what we're reviewing today. But let's kick it off with a little tidbit that no one's quite surprised to reveal. Terry Gilliam is insane! The guy is creative, but a pure madman at heart. And while I have discussed his manner of filmmaking in my review of The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, I can't deny him when it comes to his imagination or storytelling. The movies he creates are ones that only a pure lunatic would come up with. There are two movies in his filmography that I hold very dear to my heart. One is The Fisher King for its sentimental value, but then there is today's movie, which is honestly my personal favorite of his. Time Bandits is an interesting flick to discuss, given this was Terry Gilliam's second solo film. Coming off of co-directing Monty Python the Holy Grail and his first solo venture Jabberwocky, Gilliam originally wanted to make Brazil next, but most of the studios he pitched it to felt it was too weird or too risky. Thus, Gilliam felt the only way to get his dream project made was to establish himself as a commercially viable director by making a family film. As a bonus, former Beatle George Harrison and his business partner Dennis O'Brien formed a new studio called Handmade Films, which was originated from the success of Monty Python's Life of Brian, with the intent to produce more movies that involved the talent of the Python crew. When the pitch for Time Bandits was accepted, Gilliam worked on the script with another fellow Python member, Michael Palin. Just the idea of a creative mad mind like Gilliam making a movie for families is nothing unheard of. I mean, look at Martin Scorsese. One minute you're directing Goodfellas and Casino, and then you do Hugo. If one high-profile, mature director can make a kid's movie right, well, he can make it right. If so, it can make for something special and memorable. In the case of Time Bandits, I feel it not only taps into the imagination of a child's fantasy, but also turns the whole element on its head. There's so much plugging in here that I can't help but feel fascinated and envious of it at the same time. This is the kind of movie that makes me wish I had this amount of innovation to craft something like this. Albeit with more sanity, but you get the idea. And I will say this right now, if you have not seen Time Bandits, this is the perfect movie you must go in blind, knowing very little of the premise. Because the things it throws at you, or the stuff you come across, is a pure delight and surprise. And to discuss all that would be a great disservice to newcomers, so I highly recommend that if you've not seen the movie, do so now and come back here. But if you like to poke the bear and test the waters, I'll be light on the spoilers, but I'll try not to give away the big stuff. You have been warned. The premise involves a boy named Kevin who is fascinated by history, while his parents are more interested in owning the next piece of technological junk. One night, he ends up getting whisked away by a group of dwarves who possess a map of the space-time continuum. It's revealed this particular map shows holes in the fabric of time, which leads them from one era to the other. Instead of repairing them like they're ordered by a certain quote-unquote supreme being...
You mean God?
Well, we don't know him that well. We only worked for him.
The group decides to use the holes to steal riches from certain moments in history. However, they happen to be under the watchful eye of a malevolent being literally named Evil, who seeks to gain control of their map in order to recreate the universe in his own image.
If I were creating a world, I wouldn't mess about with butterflies and daffodils. I would have started with lasers. 8 o'clock, day one. Sorry.
And that is just scraping the surface.
Okay, so right from the gate, I flippin' love time travel concepts. But here, it's a bit more fascinating given we are seeing this from the perspective of a child's fantasy. Yes, there are science fiction elements to it, but it's presented in a tone that's very light to the point we don't have to take it serious.
And how they elaborate on the way these characters travel through time is explained very well. I like how we are shown this at first, and then later it's expanded and discussed more to give some clarity. It's a great way to give the audience an idea of what to expect and just how this world works. And for a simple effect, seeing these characters jump from one time hole to another is actually kinda cool. For a premise that could be too complex or hard to understand, it's surprisingly easy to catch on. Kevin, played by Craig Warnock, is not a deep character, but simple enough to understand. As a child, we were invested in certain things that some parents never caught on. In Kevin's case, it's being a history buff.
Did you know that the ancient Greek warriors had to learn 44 different ways of unarmed combat?
Well, at least we've got a 2-speed hedge cutter.
Honey, I'm concerned about Eddie. He seems to be on fire. Shouldn't we talk to him?
I don't know, sweetheart. What if I say the wrong thing?
And him going on this time travel adventure provides a great opportunity to meet these figures he's respected. But the big joke is that most of them are not exactly the people he admired. Some are just pure egotistical wimps, or they'd rather enjoy trivial matters than being responsible. The only one that comes so borderline close to being a good hero is King Agamemnon, but even he's easily fascinated by simple illusions. So you could make the argument that even the best idols still have their flaws. Some might argue this aspect makes Kevin's character a little dull, given the audience has to have someone to connect with in order to understand the fantasy elements. My argument is this whole adventure feels like a boy trying to understand the true definition of being a hero and a villain.
Heroes? Heroes? What do they know about a day's work?
Leave him alone, Randall!
Well, it makes me sick. Anyone who's always right makes me sick.
A good part of which does play into the titular 6-time bandits he joins. These guys are not malicious or doing anything terrible, just mischievous for the sake of personal pleasure. I mean, if you had a device this powerful, you too would want to use it for your personal advantage. The leader of the group, Randall, played by David Rappaport, easily steals the whole show, and I argue most of that comes from Rappaport's performance. I like how Randall acts like this big shot, but does it with charm to the point you buy it. Even in his greedy ambitions, he will treat you fair, just as long as you don't cross hairs with him.
Look, you and me, we've got a lot in common. We like a risk. We like adventure. Well, this is it.
And that goes for the rest of the bandits, one of them played by R2-D2 Kenny Baker. It's funny to note Gilliam himself based some of these off the Monty Python crew, and it shows. Randall is kind of like John Cleese. Vermin is modeled after Terry Gilliam for his pure shyness and ravenous appetite. Fidget's nice personality matches Michael Palin. I even like how at times they can be reasonable or get mad at each other, which is something a group would do when things go right or foobar fast. It's hard to say, but something about it just feels believable the way they argue or agree amongst themselves occasionally. Each one is defined by their own personality and quirk that makes them distinguishable from the rest. And speaking of scene stealers, David Warner is a pure delight as evil. Good lord and God bless this guy. He's giving it his all as a form of pure evil con carne who seeks to remake the universe in his own image and is obsessed with technology to the point he sneers at original creation.
43 species of parrots. Nipples for men. Slugs. Slugs? He created slugs.
It's a case where on paper this could work or go wrong, but David Warner's casting elevates it.
Why have I let the Supreme Being keep me here in the fortress of ultimate darkness? Because you... Oh, shut up. I'm speaking rhetorically.
This is the kind of character actor who has a blast no matter what role he's given. You can just feel it in his subtle gestures and his vocal performance.
I don't have time. I gotta get back. I'm on a date.
But that's not fair. I went through all the trouble of planning this amazing, brilliant crime. The least you could do is chase me around.
Freakazoid! Why is it taking us so long to fall? 'Cause it's funny! No, it's not. It's just stupid. It's as dumb as that Handman episode.
It's the waiting around that kills me.
He's a pure delight to watch, and honestly, I find myself watching this movie more often just for him. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the stuff with Kevin and the Bandits, but evil really makes the ride more worth it. And that goes for the supporting characters as well. I could go down the list and talk about each one, but I can't think of a single person or creature that eats up too much screen time or deserve to be cut. Each one is different, stands out, and feel memorable in their own right. Again, it would be a pure disservice to ruin everyone and everything because you want to go in surprised by this kind of stuff. But I guess I can slightly give away one in particular, this couple Vincent and Pansy, played by Michael Palin and Shelley Duvall. We first see them in the Middle Ages as this couple moving off to elope, but when the bandits literally drop it on their plans, they end up getting robbed by thieves and left tied to a tree.
The problem, Pansy, it started again.
Oh, don't worry, darling.
Oh,
I say!
I must have fruit.
Now that's funny at first, but later when the bandits jump into another hole, we see ancestor versions of them, and nearly the same thing happens. It's like these two can never catch a break no matter how many times they get reincarnated. That's both tragic and damn hilarious. That also goes for the historical figures they run into as well. Ian Holm is Napoleon, John Cleese is Robin Hood, and Sean Connery is Agamemnon. This is perfect as you can get with casting like this. Each one fits into their role very well, and you don't see them as performers, but as true historical depictions, even if taken in a more satirical route. The obvious stand-up being Sean Connery, whose inclusion was originally a joke in the script. Yeah, when depicting what Agamemnon would look like, Gilliam and Palin wrote the depiction as a joke to have him be similar, or if not equal to Sean Connery. One of the producers took that serious and was able to get 007 hired for the part. Talk about pure luck, given Connery is really taking the role seriously, but providing enough charm to enjoy him.
Well, the gods must have given you a name.
Oh, yeah, Kevin.
Kevin. Well, Kevin. Here, it's yours.
He basically sees Kevin as this son he never had, and for a while, you do want to see this kid go to a good home because how Agamemnon fairly treats him compared to his neglectful parents. He even goes as far to give a really cool banquet full of fruit, stuffed bowls, and magic tricks.
No contest, people! Father of the millennia!
I also like how each realm is defined differently so it doesn't feel too similar to each other. For example, there's a place they end up in called the Time of Legends where they run into all these fantasy creatures and monsters. Despite the low-budgeted $5 million, they still create some fascinating visuals. It comes off as a realm that looks wonderful, yet dangerous. One minute you're sailing on a ship owned by an ogre and his cannibalistic wife, but then it ends up becoming the hat of a giant. Now on paper, the depiction of that last part of the giant could sound dull, but it's the little touches added on that make it look grand and epic in scale. You have a really cool ship sitting on the head of a giant covered in tattoos who looks menacing and wears sandals that look designed in seaweed. I repeat, small touches like that can really make for something visually memorable. Even when you consider its low-budgeted technicals, it still knows how to work around some of those limitations. For example, there was originally a whole sequence planned out on their way to this ultimate Fortress of Darkness that was way more elaborate and very expensive. It would have involved a whole forest full of hands, and a bunch of spider women that would try to entrap the Time Bandits. Despite parts of the scene being filmed, it ended up being discarded because some of the stuff surrounding it was a bit too pricey. Instead, that was completely replaced with the idea of the fortress being invisible. Now, on paper, that sounds rather cheap, but execution-wise, it's still kind of fascinating and gets in a lot of unique visuals. Just the idea of this dark, brooding castle hidden behind an invisible glass wall is clever, if done right. Here, it actually has a pretty unique build to it. Once again, proving that even under certain limitations, some really creative stuff can come out of it.
I refrain. This is a really hard movie for me to talk about, knowing there are so many people out there that most likely have not seen this flick, despite the fact it was a commercial hit released in 1981, grossing, albeit, a domestic total of $35 million. So, it feels wrong of me to go over every little thing beat by beat by beat, as it would ruin the fun. Because the things that come across as a surprise feel like a legit surprise.
There's a big showdown near the end that feels like something a little kid would come up with. There's all these cowboys, Roman soldiers, and tanks set out to take evil. But the villain just dispatches them in demented yet cartoony ways that's both funny and dark. There's even a key character, Sir Ralph Richardson, appears at the end, and it's too good to the point I can't spoil it. Even if he appears for one scene, it's a major reveal that comes with a lot of big twists that make you see the movie in a different viewpoint. And tempted as I am to reveal them or even play a single solitary hilarious line from Ralph's delivery, it would be a major disservice to newcomers. I guess without giving too much away, Time Bandits does feel like you're watching a child play with all these toys and creating this unique universe with its own rules and logic. You can't help but admire the creativity and thinking they put into something so bizarre yet unique. Even Terry Gilliam himself went as far to actually shoot the entire movie from a lot of low angles, just to give the feeling that this adventure is from the perspective of a kid. And it feels like that too. And in a way, it feels like the child is doing this to understand how the world works, or comprehend with things like moral values. For the most part, that's what I love the most about Time Bandits. For a cool idea, it does feel like one from the imagination of a child. It brings me back to a time when I was playing with action figures and doing all these crazy adventures with them. It manages to capture the fancy and strangeness of a child's imagination while doing it in a Python-esque manner. On the surface, it's a fun time travel movie with plenty of dark comedy that will keep you coming back for more. Final verdict? Own the Criterion Blu-ray, invite some friends over with pizza, and enjoy their jaw-dropping reactions.
Now, of course, I could end the episode here and be on my merry way, but I think you deserve to see something very cool. I've been holding on to this for a long time now, and I don't quite think I'll be able to use it for reasons. So, let me just dig this out here. Alright. Behold. This I hold in my hands is a recreation of the actual map from the movie. I believe this was a limited edition run. Oh, and it's upside down. This is what I get for not seeing this for a long time. There we go. I'll give you a closer look here and there. But this was recreated very extensively to give the idea, detail by detail, what it looks like in the film. So here it is in all of its splendor and detail. Looks like it is a star chart for certain. It legit feels like you're looking at an entire map of the universe. And to see it painstakingly recreated here is just so incredible. As you can see all the little details, little small Easter eggs here and there, especially this little chart at the bottom, which looks like it's calculating years, months, and days and stuff. And it's interesting, too, because the actual Blu-ray of the movie does contain a recreation. If I can get it out here. So I have one hand here. It does contain a recreation of the map here, but as you can see in comparison, it's not quite as detailed as the one we're seeing here. So it's like going from standard definition to, boom, high def. So you can definitely get a bit more idea of quality and depth with the way you're looking at it here. Yeah, there are many props from many movies I'd love to own, but this is the closest I'll ever own to actually obtaining the actual map from the movie, because it's so cool to have and marvel. Just the way you're almost looking at literally the whole universe just in your hand. It's just so amazing. I heard that Adam Savage, who is a very big prop master, did a... I think he helped out in actually recreating this. So it's just amazing to see all the little nooks and crannies that are here. Just all little details of space-time. It really looks like you're looking at a star chart map. What's funny is that this was originally going to be part of a season-long arc of vaulting, if it ever came to fruition, where I'd use this map to jump from one reviewer to a next, but for one reason or another that plan kind of fell through. But still, it's a really cool prop to own, nonetheless. What more can I say? When you really love a movie that much, and you really want to own something from it, it says a lot when you have a particular item that is just so close and dear to your heart. It really shows just the amount of appreciation, love, and respect you have for that film, and not to mention the impact it has when you own a little piece of that for the rest of your life.
Silent thunder, sky as black as day. Only a dream away. Tumbling through 1,000 centuries, you don't know where you land. It's so dark in mythology. Treasures of history to be found. Hear the legends of time. All the handiworks remain. Only the dream away.
Cut.
Stinking rich. Lads, here's the stinking rich.
Stinking rich. Stinking rich. And to Kevin. Yeah, Kevin.
Steven Spielberg. He directed Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And now he has directed his most imaginative and exciting film, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. In his adventure on Earth. Rated PG. Starts Friday, June 11th, at a theater near you. Check newspapers for theaters and showtimes.